Hello, and I'm here for a very special broadcast today with Alex Kent.
Hi, yes, I am Alex Kent, and I did something amazing yesterday. I went to the Queen's laying in state, which meant a 13-hour queue through the darkness, through the winding streets of London at times. Yeah, we started queuing at about 10 o'clock at night, and by about 11:30, I think, was when we actually finally made it to Westminster Hall. And yeah, no, it was an incredible experience. I'm really glad I did it.
Yeah, and I was with you there in spirit, sending text messages through the night and in the
Mm,
early morning,
mm,
and it's just an extraordinary thing, really, isn't it? To think about it. I thought
mm,
I'll ask you about your experiences from the energy perspective. What
mm,
your insights and thoughts were, the people who were there, um, your
mm,
own experiences, where your own moments were, where you really could feel something happening to you.
mm. Well, my first experience that I had was how human people, humans, how people they really bond together, like over shared experience, and it was fascinating. Just the group of people. I went on my own. None of my friends were friends could come, giving me all sorts of excuses about why they didn't want to stand in a in a queue for about a day.
Let me just say there for a moment. So I think this is a major adventure that
Mm,
takes a lot of energy to get into. To actually get up from your chair in your house and to make your way to a train station and get on a train, to get 2 hours later to get to London and then
mm,
engage in this whole thing. It needs motivation. So
mm.
when was the moment that you felt you needed to be there?
I felt that I needed to be there because it was a once in a lifetime thing to do. I never met the Queen in person, yet this seemed to be my way of saying goodbye, really, to the person that I never met but had so much deep respect for. So it seemed I wanted to do something, and I think it's that human need, isn't it? When we lose someone very important, special to us, you feel the need to do something, and this was my something. I knew it would be hard. I knew it would be tiring at times. I knew it would be difficult. I don't stay up the whole night queuing. This is not. This is some. This was going to be a challenge, but I felt with the challenge came the experience, the joy of pushing myself, of actually making the effort and to be
So
there.
I'm going for that. When did you know that you were going to be there?
Ah,
When that moment when
that's,
you knew, and
yes,
I'm thinking that that's the moment that your friends didn't have.
yes. The moment was when I thought about it, and y- I thought when this is all over in days, weeks, months, and we've got our new king, Charles III, there's going to be two types of people. There's going to be those that did and those that did not.
Ah, a time-space event, in other words.
There's going to be those that could say that
They were there.
they were there,
Hmm.
and those that said that they weren't.
Right.
And I wanted to be the ones that said that they did it. They they put in the effort. They made the journey. They made the pilgrimage, and I think that is the word pilgrimage.
It's very
It's
interesting.
not so much a word that from my culture. The idea of a pilgrimage is very historic, very ancient. Not something people of my generation do. I know in other cultures that is that the idea of pilgrimage is very much still alive. But from my personal perspective, the idea of a pilgrimage is not is something, yeah, ancient, and to actually and that what it felt like actually to go there, not because it was easy, but because it was difficult.
Yeah, I mean, pilgrimage is. I mean, people make pilgrimages to the used to the grave of Jim Morrison or
Mm,
to Gracelands or some place like that.
mm,
So there's all sorts of. It's just you just have to be there. So thank you for answering that question of
mm,
mine, because there has to be a motivating event, in my opinion, and the other people just simply didn't have that. And
mm.
so that's why you can say to them, do you want to come? And they'd be like, no.
Well, the predicted queue length was 24 hours
Okay,
when I joined it.
right. And
So
how long
actually,
was it? How long did it end up being, or
uh,
in actuality?
in actuality, it was about 13, 14 hours.
13, 14 hours.
Yeah.
I was astonished to see on the live, because I was watching the live feed while you were actually in the live feed. So I was astonished to see people with babies in their arms and
Mm,
old people with on sticks.
mm.
That must have been incredible.
Yes, I met a 80-year-old lady in the queue, and she had a stick, and she was finding every single step painful, every single
Wow.
step difficult.
Wow.
And the marshals, and this was right at the beginning, we're talking talking right at the beginning of the journey, and the marshals were like, come on, look, we'll give you fast pass access to save you at least 2 hours worth of queuing. We can't do any more than that, but let's at least get you to the end of this zigzag line.
Yeah.
And she said, no, this is important to me that I go through this. I don't care that there's people walking past me, because they can move a lot faster than I can. I will.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. This was evening of Friday, and she figured she had until 6 a.m. on Monday to finally make it there.
Wow.
Yeah, I hope she did.
Oh, she probably did.
Mm,
Yeah. It's
mm.
amazing what you can do when you put your mind to it, isn't it?
It really
I
is.
heard a story about a famous English footballer who was in the line, and the marshals kept trying to pull him out and put him into the, I don't know, the VIP line, which is much shorter or non-existent, in fact.
Mm,
And he just shouted abuse at them. He was like, no, I'm going to take every single step with everyone else here. There's no,
mm.
privilege here.
Yes, that was really good to me. That was good for me. You either joined that line or you didn't. There
Yeah.
was there was so many opportunities, over, what was it, 10 miles, 5, 10 miles, something like that. It's difficult to say with all the zigzagging. But over that 10 miles, there's so many opportunities to go past the person in front of you and try to speed the line. But people just didn't. People made it part of the journey, not just the destination, not just the saying
Yeah.
that they were in front of that coffin, but actually the journey was as important, if not more important, than than the few minutes you actually get to spend with Her Majesty. Um, yeah, it was incredible.
So, so what were your star moments on this journey? That's what I need to know.
Well, I think maybe there was quite a few, because you were spending the first 4 hours like in a park, zigzagging your way around before you get to the real queue. So getting that wristband, getting the wristband on your arm that actually said you're actually in the real queue after 4 hours of waiting to get in the real queue that was quite a special moment. When you first get on the Thames at South Bank, and you can actually see the City of London all lit up. That,
Yes, because you were there at night, so that
yes,
makes a big difference, doesn't it?
yes, like the Shard. You had the Gherkin. You had the Tower. What's it? Tower Bridge was stunning, beautifully lit up at night, and it was just that extra bit of hope. Once you're on that riverbank, you kind of know you're going in the right direction.
Yes,
Um,
which this zigzagging line thing is
yeah,
terrible. I
yeah,
did this on the Empire State Building in New York at one
mm,
point, and I found it extremely soul destroying. So I can't imagine spending 12, 20 hours
yeah,
doing that. That just
yes. But you know
wow,
what? You know
blows my
what? After
mind.
after 13 hours of that, um, you're right. It's completely soul destroying. But once your soul's actually gone, your feet do tend to trudge in the right direction quite quite loyally and faithfully, without
Oh,
much of a
wow.
further thought. My
Oh,
second moment, I think. But so I'd say the worst, where my soul was at its least, um, uh, with
present,
present
energetic.
energetically. That was the queue stopped for about an hour and a half just before the dawn. So it was cold. There were children begging their mums to please, let's just give up, let's go home.
Oh,
We're
dear.
cold, we're shivering. There was, yeah, the morale in the queue just completely plummeted when you haven't moved for an hour and it's freezing cold, and you don't know why, and you don't know what's wrong, or um, but then the queue started moving again, and then we noticed from the east the sun starting to light up the sky a bit just behind all the city buildings, and you got that moment as well when you just see the sun for the first time. And I was near the Westminster Palace, where the Queen Elizabeth Tower, Big Ben, has just been redecorated and redone. And when the morning sun, hit the clock tower, and all its gold lit up in
Wow.
majestic beauty, and yeah, just all the gold leaf all over that building just shone, and just,
Wow.
I think, and you could feel that warmth on your skin. I think that was probably a massive star moment for me.
Yes. And
Mm.
and this is sort of a primal reconnection to the experiences of other
Yes.
human beings across time and space, isn't it?
Mm.
If you think about it, that doesn't have to
Yeah.
have been, it could have
Yeah.
been anywhere where people just shuffled through the night and were just tired and exhausted,
Mm.
and getting new hope from the rising of the sun, really.
Mm. Yeah. And there was one more. I'd say as well as obviously being in front of the coffin and seeing all these soldiers
Yeah,
in
we'll
their
get
full uniform.
we will get to that. As I'm sure that's a sort of a special segment here. What's the other one?
This was well. That's what I'm saying. When we entered the Westminster Hall, the Palace of Westminster, which is one of the oldest buildings in England. It survived the wars. It survived fire.
Yeah,
You've been
I
there.
heard it was originally constructed in 1079 or something like that, at
Yes.
least below 1100. But then it got a renovation in 1365. It got a new roof, apparently.
you, yeah, you can tell it's looking good. Uh, yeah, so you finally get through there, you get through the security, and everyone is so friendly, by the way. The people in the queue, the police, the marshals, especially when you come to about 9 o'clock in the morning, they have a change in the people looking after you, and
Ah.
they all have that energy about them as someone that slept in bed last night.
You can tell the difference.
You can tell, yeah, you can tell the great
Oh,
unwashed versus the washed, and yeah, saying to a few of them, you look like you slept in bed last night. But yeah, everyone's so friendly. Even the guys holding the big, massive guns and the the security points, all laughing, smiling, saying good morning.
oh,
There's a lot of respect for the people that have done that have been through that 13-hour queue and done that like 10-mile walk. Yeah, a lot of people, so much respect for me and my group, for the people there. And then when you get into Westminster Hall, it's just silent.
yes.
You've got this huge hall. You can hear people's footsteps. You can hear breathing. Your ears just completely readjust from being, in busy city of London to this quiet hall where everything's just so serene. And you look down from your heightened position as you're going down the stairs. You look down and you see her coffin with the royal crown position on top that will be soon passed to her son, King Charles III, and the orb. And at each corner is 8 sentries, 8 guards. Oh no, eight guards all around, two on each side, each corner. And it's just so powerful. It's such I still feel that image. Almost looks like a picture, a painting, but you're there, like a 3D thing. It took a while just to. I don't think I have quite even imagined being there. It's just something. You may have seen a photo of it, you may have seen a live stream, but
It's not the same thing.
to see the soldiers in their uniforms looking absolute, like, it's the greatest attention in the world has been paid to them. And when I went up, so when you look at the live stream and the photos, it looks like the sentry guards of the Queen are motionless still. But when you get up close, you can see their faces, and you see the loyal servants who have served this one person, all their lives, well, from all their working lives. They've grown up, getting up at 5 a.m. to do their parades and always saluting. And that's the thing, isn't it? Whenever we do a salute in the British military, the salute, it's not to say I salute you, the person you're saluting to. It's to say I'm a loyal subject of Her Majesty the Queen. That's what the British salute means.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the closer I got to these guards, I realised, these people, my goodness, and there was this big man, old man, burly, muscular, with his hat on, and he was trying not to cry. He was trying not to cry, and it was really powerful. I just looked at him, and we looked at each other, and I smiled, and he smiled back, just a little smile, and it was that connection, just to, I was saying thank you to him. He was saying thank you for coming and, paying tribute to the person I've served all my working life.
Yeah, I think this
It
is
was so
something.
so powerful.
I think that's something some of the internationals might not understand, is
Mm.
that every officer in the British Army swears
Every
their
soldier.
oath of allegiance, swears to the Queen.
Yeah,
Every member of Parliament swears an oath of allegiance to the Queen. Every police officer, everywhere.
yeah,
This is a completely different thing from the sort of countries where they just have a sort of a queen as a figurehead or a king as a figurehead. It's a completely different situation.
mm,
This is yeah, it's a fascinating thing.
yeah,
And I was going to go to that place when you stood at the top and of Westminster Hall and just saw this thing for the first
mm,
time. And there we make the mistake, we use the word see.
mm,
This is not just seeing that.
no.
It's this full body experience with. When I first tuned into the live stream, I thought there was something wrong with the sound. It was
Yeah,
so silent until some person actually coughed.
yeah,
And then I went, whoa, how can this, this is really something.
mm, yeah. No, it was really, really something. And I got chatting to a few of the soldiers in the line, as you do, as you zigzag. When you get zigzagging past, you get more of a chance to talk to other people that aren't immediately before or after you.
Right,
And
yes.
so obviously the soldiers had their medals on their chest. And we were
Yep.
asking them, what does that one mean? Oh, that means I was a good boy for my service of 30 years.
Wow.
That one means I did this, and that one does that. Obviously, they're all shining like the best they can be. And then, I saw a couple of them as well, like just saluting the Queen just for that one final time. Yeah, very powerful. Very powerful.
Soften and flow.
Indeed. Yes, yes, I can definitely say I was there. I was one of those that did go, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah, it's interesting when you see the people who didn't go, they're all very snarky about it. Less like, oh, why are you so stupid? That's just silly. They just don't understand, do they?
No, maybe, yeah. Yeah. I think everyone has their own way of saying if they're going to go or not. That decision is theirs to make.
Yeah.
Um, I would not recommend anyone with children to have gone to be honest. Seeing those children crying just before the dawn was was yeah, it really touched me and made me realize that, when I stood in front of when I had my moment with standing in front of the coffin, I actually said very quietly, because I didn't want to disturb the silence, but I did want to say to Her Majesty that, my name is Alex and I represent my family.
Oh,
Mm.
making me emotional now.
Yeah.
Ah. Yeah,
Mm,
it's a fascinating thing, isn't it?
mm.
Well, and I'm glad you went. I'm glad you went to represent the family.
Yeah, it was
Thank you
good.
very much on behalf of the rest of the family who didn't get their lazy butts off their sofas and went with you.
Yeah, yeah, it was good. It was good. I'm happy to shoulder that
Yes.
burden and go. It was good.
Well, because you went, you got the experience, and we didn't.
Mm,
But in bringing your tales back to us, your story back to us, we could
yeah.
share at least into it a little bit.
Yes.
So, what would you like to say to our dear energy friends before we go?
I have thoroughly enjoyed looking at this all from a star matrix point of view. Since learning about star matrix, I have and writing down my star memories in my book of stars. I have 350 now.
Ooh,
So I now have got a very good idea about what is a good event that is worthy of my book of stars, and what
oh,
is a
interesting.
moment that can just pass into the past, just like most moments do. And
That's so
from
interesting.
from that star matrix point of view, it makes me just want to fill my book of stars up with even more wonderful things. And this was just something that I just had to do. There was just no two ways about it. When I was looking at that queue, it was 24 hours. It was 24 hours plus, is what they said.
Yeah,
And they had just closed the queue because the queue had reached maximum capacity just a few hours before. There was every chance that I would get there, and the queue would have been closed.
yeah,
um, and yeah, I guess I was scared. I was scared. I was fearful. I was worried about what this would do to my body. I was worried about long-term consequences of knees, of feet, of bones, uh,
back.
of your back, and
Yeah,
hypothermia.
yeah,
I
sure.
was worried, but sometimes you just have to
And the
throw
biggest,
yourself straight forward, get your feet walking one step after the other, and see where that gets you.
and of course, the biggest worry is to just chicken out and turn tail and go home after 5 hours because you just couldn't
Mm,
take it anymore. That would be the
yeah,
equivalent of a total defeat in battle, wouldn't it?
yeah. I give humanity a lot of credit. I think there's very few people that would have fell out that queue out of choice. There's people. I
Yeah.
was reading the news. There was quite a few people fainted in the queue,
Yes.
and there's a lot of head injuries from falling over,
Yep.
just out of exhaustion.
Yep.
Um, so I think, but more people were. I think people were actually falling over, fainting, and having head injuries more than voluntarily leaving that queue. Much like the footballer you
Yeah.
previously mentioned, David Beckham.
David Beckham. Bless him.
Mm,
I never thought I'd say that, but here we
yes,
go.
yes. Although
Yeah.
he only queued for 7 hours,
Only 7. He got there
only
early.
7.
He got he got there early. He did.
He did.
Um, yeah, that's just I just want to pick up on that. What you said is that with after Star Matrix, we have a different idea on or how to decide where we're going to go.
You do.
Like we look at something and we think, "Okay, am I going to have a star event on if I
Yes.
go there?" And that's strange because there is actually a sense that tells you this tingle or this
Mm,
even certainty in the case of the your decision to go and pay respects to Her
yeah.
Majesty Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah. Exactly.
That there is already a sense that guides us. Oh yeah, if I go there, then I'll get a star event. But if I go there, there's complete radio silence. It's just meh.
It's just filling time. Are you choosing to do something because it just fills time, or because you think you're going to get a star event there? Or is there a chance of getting a star event there?
And it's not just thinking whether you're going to get what, there is a sense to that, a sense of excitement when there's a star event in that direction. That's what I find really quite interesting. I think Alex is a little bit frozen there for a moment.
There is a feeling.
Yeah, there is a feeling that, like a compass. This is what I
Mm.
like to. This is like a new way of guiding yourself through your incarnation, through your decisions, and I love
Well,
that.
yes, we all want our books of stars to be filled up with life memories that that just reflect us, reflect the person we are, reflect the experience we had, that we can look back and say, that was that moment I did that and
Yeah,
overcome that. And it wasn't easy. And look at that, I came through and I got all these amazing experiences from it.
the golden light uh,
Westminster Palace
on Westminster
and Big
Palace,
Ben, Queen
and
Elizabeth Tower.
Big Big Ben and the sunrise. That
Mm.
really resonated with me. That's a fabulous, fabulous star memory,
Mm.
and a great story to tell the grandchildren. Okay.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us.
Yeah, you're
And
most welcome.
Alex went to represent the family, but he also went to represent the GOE, all the British energists and all the energists around the world.
I
So
did.
thank you so much for that, and
Mm.
very well done. And yeah, let's go make some more wonderful star memories.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, do it. Brilliant. Thank you,
Yeah,
Sylvia.
there's